What's up, guys? I'm Gage Lyons. Welcome back to the parenting world. So, if you're new here, this is a podcast about different tips and different just information about how to parent your kids. And let's get into it. So, in our last episode, we had tips for potty training. So, if you want to tune into that, it's available on Apple Music, Spotify, and other platforms. Okay, let's go straight into today's topic. Today's topic is pretty serious, much serious than the last one. It's how social media affects children. We're focusing mostly on adolescents, so children from like 11 to 14, middle school. And we're gonna have a deep dive into their social capabilities, their outlook on reality, and how it affects their relationships. So first of all, I would introduce my guest, Kelly Cooper. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, my name is Kelly Cooper. I'm the center back for the Army men's soccer team, and I'm Gage's friend too.
And we have Owen Ennis. Please introduce yourself.
Hey, my name is Owen Ennis. I'm a left back on the Army men's soccer team, also one of Gage's friends.
Okay. So I think we should start off this podcast by, what are your personal opinions on social media?
I think that there are benefits and drawbacks of social media. I think that with the right use, it's like necessary for kids to like be involved with their friends and like have like a better communication with their friends, to be more involved with activities and stuff. But I also think there's with a heightened usage of social media, there like can be a reliance on it that isn't healthy for a child.
Sure. Owen?
Yeah, no, I think there's definitely like an addiction to social media, which is kind of has a bad connotation for it. But there is some parts that can connect with your friends, see what they're doing. But then you get the competitive side of Instagram and some other platforms of just trying to compete and always post not your real self in a way. So I think that it can have a bad connotation towards it.
Yeah. And a big problem with social media is that it's getting so much more popular now, and it's developing at such an exponential rate. Children are starting to use it younger and younger.
Yeah.
And then later in the podcast, in the next segment actually, we're going to show some very scary statistics that have come up by research facilities about kids and their usage at extremely young ages and how it affects them.
Wow.
Okay, welcome back. As you can see, we're having technical difficulties on the TV, so we're gonna move to the computer for the slides. All right. So now we're gonna dive straight into the smaller concepts of our social media podcast, and we're gonna dive into the how it limits the social capabilities of children. So, as I said, there are many scary statistics. One is Common Sense Media found that overall screen use among teens and tweens increased by 17% from 2019 to 2021, and this has grown even more rapidly than the 4 years prior. And on average, daily screen use went up among tweens 8 to 12 to 5 hours and 33 minutes from 4 hours and 44 minutes 2 years prior, and 8 hours and 39 minutes from 7 hours and 22 minutes for ages 13 to 18. And this affects them socially because this limits their real life interactions with real people. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I mean, you said 8 hours out of the day they're on their phones.
8 hours and 39 minutes.
Yeah,
Almost not crazy.
when you put it in numbers, it's pretty crazy because that is 1/3 of the day.
1/3 of the day.
1/3 of the day they're on their phone. So, I mean, that's pretty obvious.
And if you think about it, so 8 hours of sleep, 8 hours on your phone, you're really only living in the real world for really 8 hours.
Yeah,
It's just the opportunities they're missing out on.
Yeah.
Because of
the numbers speak for itself. Like literally, they do. So I think, I don't know.
And including social interactions. So obviously on the phone you're always texting, and a big part of what they're losing is the ability to read social cues.
human interactions.
Yeah, human interaction,
Yeah.
exactly. So I have emojis on here because this is basically showing how social cues are not shown. These emojis are used to see if someone's happy, sad, and the text messages are used to say they're happy, sad, and how to portray their emotions. And in the real world, it's different.
Yeah.
Except like this one. Like this one in the real world would be me when I see you in the locker room.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
But all these other ones, like, yeah, you can't just like spawning glasses.
So, do you guys have any thoughts on like how limiting social cues could really affect a child?
I think that growing up, it could hinder their like job opportunities for sure. Like in interviews, like for branch interviews here, they'd be like they wouldn't know what to do. They wouldn't know like how someone's feeling about what they're saying because they don't know like how their facial expressions dictate what they're feeling inside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I think one of the things that's like most important is social awareness, and I think that now with people are being on their phones so much and not recognizing like social cues and stuff, they're not social aware of their surroundings.
Yeah.
So when you're talking with someone, they may think they're having a genuine conversation when they're really not.
Exactly.
Or they're just not picking up those certain cues that you need to be picking up in order to form a kind of a good opinion about the person, or just it's almost like being smart and not being smart.
It really limits a person's conversational skills in real life.
Literally,
They're
yes.
always texting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then along with that, a huge part of social media, a huge problem is attention span. Attention span is probably the biggest thing as of now that adults are scared for their kids.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. Have you guys found in your personal life, because we've had a lot of experience with social media, has your attention span really dwindled?
For sure. So I want to highlight a personal experience, and one that many of you probably have experienced before. But if I'm listening to a TikTok or watching a TikTok, I would much rather prefer if there's a Minecraft or GTA scene in the bottom while they're talking. So sometimes in the new generation, a lot of you guys know that when people post TikToks, it's a lot of they tell a story on the top of the screen, and the bottom there's just a completely different game going on. And personally, I really enjoy that, and I think that's because of the limited attention span I have, and sometimes I don't even notice the information I'm digesting because I'm focusing on the game. Then after, I'm like, wow, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Okay. And adding on to that, before you speak, I'm gonna give you guys some statistics.
Really?
These statistics are
Blow your
actually
mind.
insane.
Wow.
So, Dr. Gloria Mark is a professor of informatics who studies attention spans. Okay, and due to social media, the average attention span on a screen has decreased by 103 seconds between 2004 and 2023. That is 19 years, 103 seconds on average less attention span. And another statistic I found, a research study found that the short-term format you see on Instagram and TikTok has reduced the average attention span to 8 seconds compared to the 12 seconds in 2000. It's because we consume so much information on our phones in such a short amount of time that our brains can't really keep up with that information.
Yeah.
And so we always want more.
Yeah, no, I think for me when I'm doing homework assignments, like whenever I get frustrated or I can't figure out what to do, I find myself just getting frustrated and going on my phone.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's because I don't have the big enough attention span to figure out that problem. And as soon as I get frustrated, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go on my phone and go on TikTok for a couple of minutes. It's not good, you know?
Yeah, and then to relate this to another point is to what Owen was saying, is the attention span along with homework, like reading a book. When's the last time you guys have read a book? Yeah, a long time for you. Yeah, for sure. But I read one this Thanksgiving, and yeah, it was hard at first because I wasn't used to it. But then the more you get used to reading, the more you want to read, and then I think it's just that getting out of the cycle of Instagram Reels, TikToks, the short attention span. You have to break the cycle. And
Yeah, and this can really impact kids. To all parents listening, limit social media because, as you said, look at us. We haven't read a book in how long?
A couple weeks
it's hard
ago,
for us to do homework. So
2 weeks.
you can help them early on so they can have success in school and either later in life so it won't affect them. So, yeah. Now, our next point that social media hinders is a kid's outlook on reality. So we'll go into that. So this actually, it ties into attention span, but it's basically, so when children are on social media, they're clicking through everything, they see everything that's happening so fast, therefore the keyword patience is what they're lacking. And patience is important, especially in the real world, in reality, because big things and large goals that people want to achieve take a very long time. And these children get very frustrated when they don't complete something in like that because of what such a YouTube Shorts. And so kids cannot stay on one subject for a long time, and this is hindering their ability to achieve long-term goals. You guys have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, for sure. I think that there are many like false expectations set by social media, like
Yes.
for bodybuilding for sure.
Yeah.
Like you can open up Instagram Reels, you see these huge guys say do this, subscribe to my program, but then behind the scenes they're taking steroids, all this extra stuff that you aren't doing.
Yeah.
And then it just puts your head full of these false expectations. And then when you don't achieve the results, you're like, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
When it's just you giving into the false expectations that we
Yeah,
have.
and adding on to that, social media has a lot of false representation of things such as stocks.
For sure,
You see
yeah.
all these stock pitch on TikTok. It's like, hey,
Get
I
rich.
invested in 5 things, get rich in a week.
Yeah.
That's impossible.
Impossible.
That's not gonna happen. In that.
Yeah, no, it's just the false perception of what social media brings. Like, obviously, people who post it, they post it to get attention, right? And they want to post the stuff that will get them views, and obviously that stuff may not be true,
Yeah.
and so that can cause like a lot of false reality in a sense.
Sure. Yeah. No, that's a very good point. And then I added these photos because
A house and a boat.
a house and a boat, because adding on to long-term goals, children think this is easy because that's all social media shows them. So, yeah. Now, a huge thing and a huge subject that the media gives children and anyone who uses it is dopamine. So dopamine is a neurotransmitter that causes addiction, and basically it pumps neurotransmitters to the brain, and children, they get these to the brain and they keep wanting more and more, and then so their dopamine threshold goes up, and that causes them to want social media more and more. What do you guys think about that?
So pretty much every time you watch a TikTok, like you keep doing it, more dopamine.
You need more. Always
Yeah.
need more.
I mean,
I think it can like put you in bad situations. Like if you post yourself on Instagram, you're always looking at like, oh wow, I got this amount of likes, and then it makes you feel good because of the dopamine, and then that can like force you to post the stuff you don't want to post or you shouldn't have posted, and just for the likes and not for like looking into the future to see like the long term goal of this. Is this worth it? Should I be posting this? But you just seek the short term dopamine hit instead of like weighing the outcomes.
yeah, it looks like it's just an addiction at this
Yeah.
point.
Causes addiction, for sure. Now, another facet that social media can hinder in a child's early life is their healthy relationships. So we can dive into that. First of all, have you guys had any personal experience of how social media has affected your relationships negatively?
Yeah,
Any
definitely.
thoughts?
Yeah, for sure. I think it can definitely impact a child's relationships negatively by like just like group chats, like saying stuff you don't want to say because it's easy. There's no immediate consequence to what you
Yeah.
have to say, so you say stuff that you don't mean that can hurt the other person's feelings. But then also, I also think it could be a good thing because like it helps you keep in touch. Like when you're older, well, as a younger kid, I think that it's negative. But as you're older, like for me right now, it's a good way to keep in touch with my old friends and like know what they're doing.
Yeah.
But definitely, like it can definitely hurt relationships very
Yeah,
easily.
for sure.
I think when you're younger and you have that social media, you don't really understand the consequences just yet of what you can do. And obviously, it's easier to type stuff and do stuff like behind a screen. And I think it's
Yeah.
important to know like you need to, like obviously when you're a kid, like you can do some stuff that's obviously can hurt a friend's feelings and stuff, and then you add social media into that where you can post something or share something that can get you in trouble. I feel like it causes just a greater amount of that. If that makes sense.
Yeah, and the reason I have this only good things happen kind of flyer right here is because social media is a front for all the positive things, and then behind it is all the negative things it hides. So when a child is developing these relationships, they see all these positive things on social media, such as things being bought for them, other kids getting toys, other kids going places, right? And then, but they're not seeing what's actually happening in these kids' lives, which is happening in their own lives. And so this gives them the representation that everything must be perfect, their parents must give them everything. But in reality, life isn't all that good. Life can bring you up, but it can knock you down real quick. Ebbs and flows, and social media really hinders their ability to see that, and that's a big part of why they can develop these relationships. Yeah. Any final thoughts?
No, I think social media, it's here to stay, obviously, and I think it's gonna be, you gotta be smart as a parent to understand your child, to know when they're ready for it.
Yeah.
Because if you give it too soon, it can have like lasting impressions on their personality and their life, and so it's something that you need to be cognizant of, definitely.
Of course.
I think it's a very powerful tool that's in everybody's hands,
Mhm.
and it's up to the parent to like limit what the child can see and promote what the child can see.
Yeah.
So I think it's at like the parents' hands, whether like the amount they want their child to develop through social media and in person.
Sure. Yeah, I agree. And just to top it all off, this podcast and everything we're saying isn't saying to just take social media out of your children's lives, because it's inevitable. It's going to be in it. It's the new big thing. And so we're just saying to be smart about it, and based off the research that we have, and do your own research to make your own limits and control your kids' time on social media, because they really help in the long run. So thank you. The next episode is on the best parenting styles, so authoritative, laid back, all that good stuff. And thank you, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you to my guests.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure.